Goliath the Second. Once upon a time, in a faraway jungle, there lived a tiny elephant. His name was Goliath the Second, and he was barely 5 inches tall. He was so small he couldn't even pull up a daisy. "I'll never grow up," said little Goliath sadly. "I'll never be a giant elephant like my father." His father, Great Goliath the First, was leader of the elephant herd. He was so huge and powerful that he could uproot the biggest tree without even trying. "It's not fair," Goliath grumbled. "Why should I have a little bit of a son who can't even pull up a daisy?" But Goliath's mother, like most mothers, was proud of her little son no matter what. She didn't care one whit about uprooting trees or pulling up daisies. "Don't worry, Goliath," she said. "Brute strength isn't everything. You'll amount to something one day. Just wait and see." Raising such a tiny son in the dense and savage jungle was a big problem. Mother Goliath's #1 problem was Raha, a crafty old tiger who could hardly take his greedy eyes off little Goliath. "I've always been curious to taste an elephant," said old Raja, "and now at last I've found one that's bite-size." But Goliath's mother wasn't taking any chances. She kept a sharp eye on her little son every minute of the day, and at night she tucked him safely into bed in an empty bird's nest high on a tree limb. Each day the elephants took a dip in the river, and little Goliath was left on the bank to splash and play in one of his mother's huge footprints. "Now stay where I can see you," she warned. But Goliath was getting tired of being treated like a baby. "I'm nearly 8 years old," he said. "I'm old enough to look out for myself." "Libby, you're silly." One day, when his mother wasn't looking, Goliath wandered off down the elephant trail. It was a perfect day for running away. The jungle was sunny and warm and very, very quiet. There was only the gentle whisper of the breeze and the sound of footsteps, soft, velvety footsteps. But they weren't Goliath's footsteps. Suddenly, Goliath saw 2 pale yellow eyes peering through the grass. It was Raja. Goliath tried to run, but he tripped on his trunk and fell flat on his face. Raja crouched and then sprang into the air, but he never came down. Something had old Raja by the tail. It was Goliath's mother, and she was furious. "You old scoundrel!" she screamed. She swung him around and round until his head was spinning. Then, with all her strength, she sent that old tiger flying high over the treetops, all the way across the river to the far end of the jungle. Yeah. That was the end of Raja. At least, he was never seen again in that part of the jungle. But that wasn't the end of little Goliath's troubles. For one thing, his mother gave him a good sound spanking with a stout blade of grass. This didn't hurt Goliath half as much as the scornful look from his father. Goliath had broken one of the first laws of the herd. A runaway elephant is called a rogue and a traitor and is treated as a criminal. Little Goliath had never felt quite so small in all of his life. As an elephant, he was a failure. One afternoon, as big Goliath led the herd down the elephant trail toward the river, he saw a fuzzy little creature with black beady eyes and a string tail. "Mouse!" cried big Goliath. "It's a mouse! Run for your lives!" The herd went crashing off through the jungle in a wild stampede and leaped right into the river. Hi, Libby. There they stayed, trembling with terror, with only the tips of their trunks sticking out of the water. "We don't want your ball," Only little Goliath stood his ground. He didn't move a muscle or blink an eye. "What's the trouble, Buster?" said the mouse. "Aren't you scared stiff? All elephants are afraid of mice." "Why?" asked Goliath. "I'll show you why," said the mouse. In a flash he seized Goliath by the trunk, whirled him into the air, and flung him to the ground. "Do you give up, Jumbo?" asked the mouse. "Never," cried Goliath. So the battle began. They rolled over and came close to the edge of a steep cliff. Down below, an old crocodile was waiting for someone to drop in for dinner. Anyone at all. The mouse pushed Goliath toward the edge, but Goliath saw the crocodile. Desperately, he grabbed the mouse's tail, and with a sudden jerk, he swung the mouse out over the cliff, right over the wide open jaws of the crocodile. "Please, don't let me fall," cried the mouse. "I give up. You win, old pal, okay?" "Okay," said Goliath, and the battle was over. As a reward for his great victory, Goliath was given the very highest position in the elephant herd, a place of honor on his proud father's head. Happiest of all was Goliath's mother. "I always knew you'd amount to something one day," she said proudly. The end. You ready to take a nap? You're such a pretty little baby, aren't you? You're such a pretty baby, Kylin. Yeah. You're sleepy? Do you want to take a nap? So pretty. Such a pretty baby. Alright, let's take a nap, okay? Mommy loves you. Alright.